Very nice. A little slapping.
Good morning. Good morning. We invite you to take your seat and prepare for this morning's service. On behalf of the worship committee, I would like to welcome you to the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Columbia. My name is Laura Culler, and our pastor is the Reverend Stephen Robinson. We would like you to stay connected with our community. Recurring events are listed in the calendar in your order of service, but special events are coming up too as well. Every Thursday, we send out a newsletter with details, so please make sure that we have your email address. You can also find events on our website, Facebook, and Instagram, so don't miss any special of the announcements that are posted, and we also have announcements that are brought up at the end of the service. We warmly welcome families and children and offer childcare during our service for infants and children up to 4 years old. We have designated seating for children up to 4 to 7 for the children, their parents, and caregivers in the sanctuary. Feel free to bring any of the toys available in the back of the social hall into the social hall for service. Today, we are going to have the children remain in the service along with their parents and caregivers. Please silence all devices as we center ourselves for today's service and listen to the prelude.
It's my pleasure to introduce Izzy as violinist with her mom, Laura Brashears, on piano to play Dvorak's Humoresque.
Thank you for that. Please rise in body or spirit and join me as we, in the Congregational Covenant Order of Service. Love is the doctrine of this congregation. The quest for truth is a sacrament, and service is its prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge and freedom, to serve others in community. Thus do we covenant with one another. Please be seated. Thank you. Unitarian Universalism is a diverse and non-creedal religion. Our community is based on deeds, not creeds. We are a covenantal religion, meaning that we don't have to believe the same in order to treat each other the same, with respect, equity, compassion, and dignity. We place love at the center of our values, embracing and welcoming all people. We are delighted to welcome all guests and visitors today. Louisa, if you can get the microphone. Thank you. So if we have any visitors today and you're willing and able, please rise so we can welcome you. Please wait until the microphone arrives before speaking. No one?
Good morning. My name is Candace Chamberlain, and I'm here today with my two sons. Jimmy is 8, and Carter is 5.
Welcome. Anyone else? No?
Thank you. Good morning, everybody. I'm Sarah Emily, and I have my mother up visiting from Somerville today. So,
Welcome. That's everybody. Thank you. Visitors, if you would like to learn more about the UUCC, visitor cards are available in the back of the pockets of every chair. So please fill one out and place it in the collection plate. This is just so we can gain contact with you about the events that we have going on. Our board members and committee chairs welcome your comments and your questions. Board members wear green name tags, and as always, we are happy that you are here. Our chalice lighter today is Chuck Ashley. So, come on up. Chuck Ashley, in her words, describes herself as the church hippie. Well, as a church hippie. One of them. Her husband is the other. She is always bringing toys to the church, and she has been with us for about 5 years, but she recently joined as a member. Thank you. Spirit of light and life, come unto us.
This morning at the UUCC, as we celebrate maintaining a place of learning, our youth are going to be invited to participate in all the musical aspects of the service. For our opening hymn, number 361, Enter, Rejoice, and Come In, any kids or youth that want to come join Mr. Andy up in the percussion area, he's going to be playing a neat drum called the cajon that you sit on to play. Next to him, there's a whole basket of colorful shakers, some other percussion instruments, and drums. So come on up, make a choice, and join in keeping a beat and making a joyful noise. To our congregation, if you can turn to hymn number 361, Enter, Rejoice, and Come In. And please stand in body or spirit to join in singing.
Enter, rejoice,
Glad the nursery kids didn't come in because they would have been totally jealous of not getting to bang on some of the instruments up there. So we're going to keep that a secret, right? Thank you, Laura, for getting us started so wonderfully, and thank you, everyone, for the music. It was beautiful, and the kids for coming and joining us. Andy, actually, I'm going to need you to stay up here for a little while through the whole service, if you don't mind. Today was a pancake breakfast, if you can recognize that smell. So I am competing with the fact that everyone that participated in pancake breakfast are full of pancakes, and I'm going to talk to you for 20 minutes. So every 5 minutes, Andy's just going to do a little banging and waking everyone up. The other option would be to go, hey, hey, hey. So we don't want to do that. But it was a great success, so thanks to Milo and Lydia and all of the CYRE for doing such a great job. Give them a huge hand for such a wonderful pancake breakfast. They're looking forward to taking a Boston trip and doing other activities, and so this was a great fundraising event for them. Today, our focus, as Anna said, is education, and we have a giant in education as far as our country goes, and so proud to say that he was a Unitarian as well. Horace Mann is going to provide our opening words, and these opening words come from his speech that he gave at the Whig Party Convention. You don't hear that often anymore, right? The Whig Party Convention in the fall of 1839. Here are his words. Look at any person as a citizen in a free government, throwing their influence and their vote into one or the other of the scales where peace and war, glory and infamy are weighed. Look at that person in these relations and consider how a virtuous or a vicious education tends to fit or to unfit them for them all, and you will catch one more glimpse of the importance of the subject now presented to you for consideration. But if we ascend to a still higher point of vision and forgetting the earthly, personal career and the wide sphere of social influences and those acts of life which survive life, we fasten our eyes upon effects which education may throw forward into immortal destinies. It is then that we are awed, amazed, overpowered by the thought that we have been created and placed in a system where the soul's eternal flight may be made higher or lower by those who plume its tender wings and direct its early course. Such is the magnitude, the transcendence of this subject. In a philosophical view, beginning at what point we will, and following the most rigid connection and dependence of cause and effect of antecedent and consequence, we will find that education is intimately related to every good, every evil, which as mortal or as immortal beings we can desire or dread. Horace Mann, a Unitarian in our history. Invite our youth to come and join me down front for the story for all ages. Good morning. You brought some good toys of your own, so that's good.
Of course.
Of course. How's everyone doing this morning? Yeah? Good. Just good. Are you full of pancakes? Yes?
Yes.
Should we just take this opportunity to lie down and take a little Sunday morning nap? Does that sound good? I don't know if you know. A little girl named Charlie, and particularly a part of the story, because it is a long book, but I'm going to summarize the first little bit. Charlie has a puzzle that Charlie is working on, and as she's trying to put the puzzle together, she thinks she has it, and her big sister comes along and says, "That's not it at all." Do you ever have big sisters do something like that? Anybody can relate? You never have that problem. You never do that though, right? All right, good. So when you feel this way, here are some things you need. You need a hug, so give yourself a hug. You might also need a snack. We can provide that, right? Jonathan told me they have a lot of leftover pancakes in there, so snacks, we can hand it out, have a little Unitarian communion with pancakes this morning. And maybe even take a walk outside, so actually experience outside and get your body learning something new. My kids must learn a lot. Must learn a lot. Because they seem frustrated with me a lot. So that helped me realize, man, they are really learning a lot, as well as the church members here are learning a lot. Man, so much learning is happening in this place. And on a serious note, you all are learning, right? We just started our RE program back, and so much is happening in the nursery in there, and you are learning. This is a place where you can come and learn, not just school. This is another place to come and learn. So we are celebrating learning this morning and celebrating the fact that we have a church that wants to work on your brain and help your brain grow as well. So thank you for coming down this morning. Good to see you all. At this point in our service, we light candles to celebrate those joys that we're holding in this place, but also share the concerns with each other. So if you have a candle that you would like to share, I invite you to come and do that this morning. Briefly share that joy or concern and place your candle here.
Good morning, I'm Bud Ashley. I want to tell y'all a really brief story about someone you don't know about. There's this young lady named Madison. She lives in Fort Riley, Kansas with her military husband. He's in the Army. That's nothing significant. They're ordinary people, but Madison just gave birth to a baby, a little baby boy, and the significance in that is that boy is our great-grandson.
Hey everyone, my name's Will. Unfortunately, I have a candle of sorrow. My grandfather passed this past week. I'm going to continue to honor his memory by doing what he did, which was fix and build things and help people in his community. So if you pray, please pray. If you don't, keep him in your thoughts.
I'm Kevin McKinney, and my wife Connie and I had the great pleasure yesterday of attending a training up at a Mouse Church, which is non-denominational up in the northwestern sector of our area, for more justice. And it was a wonderful experience, gave us some warmth in our hearts, and yes, that sparkly feeling in our brains. Oh, and I should say that if you want to know more about more justice, we'll be talking about it in the Green Committee meeting after service. Yeah, and there's a little bit on the tables out there. So.
Good morning, I'm Sharon Gibbons, and I have a huge congregational joy. Our peace poll Our UUCC Peace Poll arrived on Tuesday, and it is absolutely gorgeous. Even George said it's beautiful. So I'm just so thrilled for us that we will have a peace poll, and I would like very much for you to mark off September 21st on your calendar, because that's the day we will devote our service to peace, and we will dedicate our peace poll.
Hi, my name is Annette Flavel. I am no longer the co-chair of the membership committee, but that's not my joy. I'm an enthusiastic member of the membership committee. I have two joys today. One of them is that Isabella went back to school at Dreer, and I'm so appreciative that Dreer is such a good school and the teachers are really interested in their students learning. They have a lot of clubs to offer, and Isabella enjoys school. So that's wonderful. And my other joy is that my little children's publishing project that I've been working on for over a year kicks off in earnest this week with the release of our first 2 titles. So, yay.
Hi everyone, I'm Brittany Boone. This is a candle of concern and of advocacy. Many of you probably do know about what's going on in Gaza, but a lot of you might not know that a lot of the weapons that are being made are now being made here in South Carolina at Elbit Systems in Charleston, South Carolina. So that is obviously a huge concern. There are some joys with it though, because there are some protesters there that just by being a nuisance just out in front of where these people are, they are now, Elbit Systems is now having to pay for security every time there's protests there. So we learned that we can cost the company money just by being outside with a few signs and a couple t-shirts. So that is definitely a big joy. They have unfortunately just done their first shipment to Israel to continue the genocide in Gaza. They're building the howitzer weapons. So that first shipment is in July. So our goal in protesting them is to cost the company as much money as possible and to hopefully send their workers home early, because they've started now when they know that we're coming to protest, they've been sending their workers home early so that way they don't have to see us as they leave the parking lot. So next protest is coming up. It's going to be a surprise one that they do not know about. It's going to be 9 a.m. in Ladson, South Carolina. There's some people that are going to be carpooling here from Columbia. So if you're interested, and you might maybe want to ride with other people instead of just driving down, let me know, because there are a couple people that are willing to help carpool. So it's all up to us to do our own part, finding ways to resist this genocide in Gaza as creatively, and might as well have fun with it as possible. Thank you.
We have church members that leave us during the summer. I don't know why, it's such mild summer here, but JP and Jane move every summertime to Montana, and so this candle I'm lighting for JP this morning in distance, who's always watching us, our service online, but his brother died unexpectedly, and so we are holding you in our hearts today, JP. And the last candle that we light represents those silent joys and concerns. We prepare for our offering this morning, and I'm going to get Anna to introduce our offertory before we bring our ushers.
This morning, I'll invite you to come up and play piano with me, and we can learn through playing. A couple things about the piano. When you look at the piano keyboard, there's 88 keys, white keys and black keys. If you've watched a pianist play, you know we use both our hands and all our fingers. So I'm going to invite you to join me in putting your hands together, rounding so you can feel the pads of your fingers touch. And as pianists, we call our thumbs finger 1. Can you tap finger 1? Our pointers are finger 2. Middle fingers are finger 3. Ring fingers are finger 4. And our pinkies are finger 5. Ready, tap 2. 5. 4. 3. 1. And go ahead and relax your arms by your side. Give your shoulders a little shake. Let your arms hang loose. Look at the natural shape of your hands. As pianists, when we play with a rounded hand shape, we're not necessarily forcing a shape, just encouraging the natural curved shape of our hand and fingers. To play with me this morning, I'm going to invite any kids or any young at heart adults to come and form a small line by the piano. What I'm going to do is play some sounds, some chords using a lot of the black keys on the piano. What this allows you to do is to be immediately successful in making beautiful music by simply using black keys. And I promise you, as long as you come sit, you can play soft, loud, keys together, go high, go low. Any black keys you play are going to fit beautifully because we're going to be using the sounds of a pentatonic scale. So before we begin our offertory, can any volunteers who'd like to give it a try come up here to my right by the piano? I'm going to make space for you on the bench to join me in playing on the black keys.
All right, and as they're getting themselves in place, I invite our ushers to come and receive our offering, unless you're an usher and would like to join the line. Then you have to find a backup. receive our offering today, symbol of our commitment to our good work. Thank you, Anna. That was beautiful. And we have to delete that and not let the nursery see it. Jealousy again, if they knew they had a chance to bang on the keys of the piano. That's right, that is true. Every day experience. This is a time of year when education, of course, is on the brain. Dorm rooms are being decorated. I think today is a bidding rush day based on the decorations on the Greek village as you come up Blossom Street. So I think a lot is happening on the campus of USC today. Class schedules are paying attention or being noticed at this point, I'm guessing, by those folks who are getting themselves ready for college. Professors putting finish touching on syllabus, putting a finish touch on their lectures. Teachers of all levels, administrators are getting classrooms ready, looking at overall curriculum. We're celebrating the first days of school for the young ones getting started, and first days of school for those seniors that are at the very end, starting high school, first day, starting middle school, all of the excitement of being a part of educational system. Excitement is in the air. Getting up early, everybody say, yay. Right? I didn't hear any of the kids. Let's try again. Getting up really early, yay. All right, it doesn't sound very enthusiastic. We'll blame it on the pancakes. It's interesting in our congregation that the rhythm of UU spirituality feels so connected to the educational system, and we feel quite in tune with that, and it's been that way for a long time. Our spirituality has been tied to the rhythm of education. We mentioned Horace Mann, born in 1796. He grew up in a really extremely poor family, a farmer, and a farming family that had many kids. Horace was never really able to go out and complete an entire year of education. He records at most he spent about 6 weeks out of every year in school. But he made the most of it. He loved to learn. He soaked it all in. He had a library in his town, and he read everything that he could get his hands on. So eventually, as he grew older, he was able to go to attend Brown University, where he became the valedictorian of his graduating class. After that, he went on to law school, became a lawyer, and then became a legislator in his home state of Massachusetts. There are people like Mann who will say, I want to make this world a better place. You know, sometimes when we go through rough times, we say, I want other people to have rough times too. Horace Mann had just the opposite. He said, I want to make education possible for everyone. He was a legislator in Massachusetts when the governor created this new thing in the state called the Board of Education. And he became the secretary of the Board of Education. And in that role, he was able to take all those visions that he had for creating a system that everyone could reach their potential, or at least have the opportunity to do so. He created what is called the common school movement. Common doesn't mean like it refers to everyone as commoners, but common in the sense that school is for everyone. His vision was that we would have a publicly funded system of education that was available to everyone. Everyone had the opportunity. All students in that vision would go to schools and sit side by side with upper class families, lower class families. Everyone believed, everyone was educated the same. Believe it or not, that was quite a radical idea in the world at the time, to think that every person in every class, every state of life had an opportunity to receive the same education. But for him, he firmly said his Unitarian values made him firmly believe in the equality of all people. The vision, whether you were a child of a wealthy landowner, or the child of a family that was in poverty, you would receive the exact same education. Horace Mann said, "Education, beyond all other devices of human origin, is the great equalizer of the conditions of people, the balancing will of our social machinery." As I said, this was a radical idea then. It's still a very radical idea. There are many people in our culture today that do not want it and believe good publicly funded education leads to social mobility, and that social mobility and relocation of power can be really troublesome in a culture that is trying to keep power in certain places. Education, as he said, is our only political safety. And outside of the arc of education, it's a storm. It's a deluge, he said. Now, Horace Mann is not an anomaly as a Unitarian. You just look around the room this morning and think about all the people in this place that in some way or another are involved in our educational system as an administrator, a teacher, professor, those who have spent their lives investing in the education system. They're all tied together. As a matter of fact, when we visited the very first Unitarian church in Cluj as a pilgrimage, we were told a story by the minister there at the time that the school, the Unitarian school, which is right next to the church, is connected with a stone connection that really became compromised because the church started falling, leaning at some point in its history. And I think the joke was that it was actually leaning right, which you would expect the other, right? In a Unitarian church, if you're going to lean, you would think it would lean the other way. But it was leaning, and the way to fix it was not really, you couldn't do anything with the structure other than tear it down and rebuild it, which they didn't want to do. And so they just connected it to the building beside it, which happened to be the School of Education, and it literally holds it up in place. It's a beautiful image when you walk across the street in Cluj and you look back at that church and see it is leaning, but it's being held up by the school, the Unitarian school. I think about that in so many ways of that is the image for our congregation here. We do lean. We're leaning the other way, I think, in our culture. And no matter which way we lean, and at times when we feel like we're losing our way, we are propped up by our value of being a place of education. Sometimes we teeter on the edge of saying that education is our religion even, especially here in the U.S. where education and science and learning become a threat to the conservative Christian dogma and doctrine. I believe that learning is not a threat to our faith. We believe that truth is not a fixed point that we must find, but rather it is found in the journey of exploration and the dialogue of engaging minds. I am learning this morning, even in the midst of this sermon, that without these glasses, it's impossible to see the pages in front of me. So I have no idea that if I'm reading what I wrote. So I'm going to put them on. I'm trying to not put my head down because someone took a picture last week and they said I have horns on the top of my head, so I'm trying to look up more. Thank you, John, for that. So many things go through your mind when you're up here. Try to read and look at the paper. Oh, don't show them the horns. And that's the way it is to be the minister here. But you're awake now, right? The pancakes are wearing off. That's good. We do believe here that religion is not something that just engages our hearts and our emotions, but our religion in this place has to engage our mind as well. Fundamentalists function on the art of amusement. And if you think about amusement, in essence, the word simply means to not think. And it's great when you want to go to an event where thinking is not required, where if you go to a concert or if you go to a comedian or you go to something that is just pure entertainment that doesn't require you to use your brain so much, but really disengage in your mind in a way. But oftentimes in fundamentalist religious settings, the service is created to be an amusement. Why? Because thinking is the most dangerous thing to an organization that doesn't want you to do the thinking, but wants to tell you what to believe and what to think. I spent my whole life in my early life and those kinds of experiences as a child. And at the same time, I spent my whole life as a kid going up to the edge of the fence that was built by those fundamentalist congregations and looking over the fence and going, what's out there? Wondering what is outside that fence. This past March, we had an opportunity to see Hadestown at the Koger Center, and a wonderful play capturing the story of Persephone and Demeter and Hades. And it reminded me of when I was a young kid, about the age of 8 or 9, sitting at the dinner table with my mom and dad. We had just started the school year, and it was beginning to get cold, and my dad just made the comment, oh, the weather is getting colder, the air is getting colder outside. If I could go back in time as a 31-year-old, okay, 51-year-old, sorry, lost my way there, I read it differently. If I could go back in time and I could sit at that dinner table and say, you know what, Stephen, what you're about to say, it doesn't have to be said. I would probably do that, save myself and my family a lot of grief. But what happened at the dinner table, my dad made the comment, oh, the air is starting to get cool. I think fall is coming. And I remember as clear as day saying, you know what's happening? Persephone's going back to the underworld. My Southern Baptist, Independent Baptist mom and dad looked at me and said, who and what? This is where the older version of me would go, you know, just say, I misspoke. It's okay. That's not what 9-year-old Stephen did. He said, well, you know, I was reading this book that I got at the library about Greek mythology. And what actually happens with the changing of the seasons is Persephone, who was captured by Hades, and then they went back to Hades and spent time with him, but he decided to let her leave, but she ate some pomegranate seeds when she was there. And so her mother, who really brings all the earth to life, she would mourn when she was in the underworld. But then when she came back, everything turned to green again, and it was beautiful. And by the way, the sun is brought up in the sky by Apollo, by the way. I didn't know if you knew that was his chariot. Just so you know, Mom and Dad. So we say, good morning, Apollo, every morning as he takes that chariot across the sky. But back to my story. So when she comes, the earth comes back to life, and that's what spring and summer is. But then when it's time to go back to Hades, Demeter cries, she weeps, she mourns the loss of her daughter, and the earth dries up and dies. And you know, I totally expected my mom and dad to go, that is a great story. What a wonderful way to think about the changing seasons. That is not what happened at all. I'm laughing about it, but it's painful, as the book that I had burned in the yard. Thankfully, I bought another copy, which I kept between my mattress and box spring, and is in my office to this day. But that's the threat, right? Looking outside and risking learning, risking doing something more than what you see is contained in these fences. For some religious practices that want to maintain control, you have to see learning as a threat. Education, as long as you're indoctrinating and educating people to embrace these small set of values, that's fine. But learning outside of that can be quite difficult and quite a threat. Fortunately, I had some teachers along the way that blessed that kind of learning for me. and made a difference for me. And I used them every time I would run into one of those fences that someone was trying to create. I had a teacher that literally said to me, keep searching, keep searching. The answers are out there somewhere. The point is not to find the answers. The point is to keep searching, keep engaging your mind. They created for me in my life, in the midst of fundamentalist faith, a pocket of a learning environment where knowledge was no longer threatening. When I think about those teachers, I think about the poem by Taylor Mali that says, "What teachers make." Toward the end of that poem, Taylor says, "You want to know what I as a teacher make? I make kids wonder. I make them question. I make them criticize. I make them apologize and mean it. I make them write. I make them read and read and read. I make them spell definitely beautiful, definitely beautiful, definitely beautiful, over and over and over again until they will never misspell either of those words again. I make them show all their work in math and then hide it all in their final drafts in English. I make them understand that if you got this, then you follow this. And if someone ever tries to judge you by what you make, you give them this. So here, let me break it down for you so you know what I say is true. Teachers make a goddamn difference. Now, what about you? Last week in this place, we talked about gazing at our chalice and staying connected to our work and the importance of our work. As UUs, we are committed to a lifelong journey of putting our faith into action. So how does the educational process then, as a component of our commitment to learning, lifelong learning, serve our faith? A Russian playwright by the name of Anton Chekhov and a short story writer famously wrote to his editor, who was demanding a literature that provided answers to the pressing questions of his day. His answer to that editor was that literature or storytelling was not meant to provide answers, but to pose the questions properly. So our work in worship in this place is to come together to pose questions properly. This has to be a place of learning, from the halls of the nursery and the RE wing to the walls of this large room, with every age, from children to adults, and in every moment we must be engaging the mind. In a culture that blesses the blind following of personalities, we must inject the blessing and the art of thinking and differentiating. We can make a difference in our world if we maintain this place as a place of learning.
I invite Louisa forward to lead us in our closing hymn, with Cal on guitar and Andy joining on percussion. Our closing hymn is number 168, One More Step. I invite you to rise in body or spirit to join in singing.
One
today come from Melissa Smith, a retired professor and a UU member in Youngstown, Ohio. In a sermon she shared about education, she writes, "In the UU Church, we have no saints to emulate. But as we try to bring the better part of ourselves together in a church service, we find in each other a saintly inspiration and drive to bring forth the saintly seed within ourselves. We look to historical figures, contemporaries, and the sacred teachings of other religious traditions. We create our grace together in an environment of learning. And if we strive to serve a law, we will fall short of it. But it is through grace, amazing universal grace, that we hope to guide our earthly vessels to safe harbor."
I invite you to join in singing our congregational benediction.
If you will be seated for just 1 second, I'm going to bring back our service leader, Laura Kohler, has an announcement for us.
Thank you. So, just a couple announcements. The Buy Banned Books campaign is ending this Thursday. It is so close to qualifying for the $5,000 match. There is also a list of the South Carolina banned books on the card table in the social hall near the entrance to the foyer. It's there to take a look at it if you guys would like to. And we would like to remind everyone that there is a social action committee meeting today after the service in room 8, and also an animal ministry meeting in room 10. Thank you.
Thank you, Laura. If you're visiting with us today, we hope you stick around and give us an opportunity to feed you pancakes and get to know you better. And if you're not visiting with us, we pray that you will help those who are visiting to feel a welcome in this place. Thank you all for being a part of our service.